You got it. I got it. Okay.
Right. T
We're live
I
now. This is a little coming out party for Wayne, who we all knew eventually would be reading and studying because he is a man of his word. And he does some research, especially in cosmology and a little bit of astronomy, and has reached the conclusion that not only is the universe old, but the Earth is as well. So, Wayne, everybody's going to unmute now and clap. Yay. Except for Joe because he's walking through aisles.
Yay.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
One second.
Just pure silence until we're actually live, and then all of a sudden the echoes.
Well, I'll tell you what. A lot of those guys, a lot of the guys who do like astronomy and stuff like that in the Young Earth community, what I noticed was they didn't understand how astronomy worked, and so I looked like you know how I did about macroevolution and microevolution and stuff like that. And you go and you do research from all other sources. And I talked with a friend of Neil deGrasse Tyson's yesterday. And so we were talking about science, and he was like, well, what's your position on the age of the Earth, and what's your position on this, and, would you be willing to change your mind on this or that? And I said, yeah, I'd be willing to change my mind if I saw some evidence that would sway me in that position. So he said this, and this is what I thought about last night while I was doing my research. He said, when you make a model, you also look at the possibilities. You look at all the angles of the possibilities where your model could be wrong, and you yourself, before somebody else does, you yourself try and rip that model apart. And if that model stands, and you try and scrutinize it every way you can, it should be correct. And so I said, if I try and pick apart this young Earth model, would it stand? And so I looked to astronomy, and I came to the conclusion after looking at like 7 hours of footage and looking at all of these well, as a matter of fact, Answers in Genesis doesn't have a peer review on that. But I looked at some of Answers in Genesis work and Creation Today, and they did not have an answer. They kept on going in circles. And when you look at the variables, when you look at their models for a young Earth, you can't do astronomy with it. We shouldn't be able to see the stars if the Earth is young. And so I changed my position.
Well, that's interesting. Why do you think that Answers in Genesis or Creation Institute and, this, that, and the other, why don't you think that they have the correct information in order to do astronomy?
Number one, when I looked at all the information, their information was old. They don't have any new information that deals with the astronomy that we're doing today. That's number. Even in Kent Holben's oldest video, he doesn't tackle the latest dating methods for that time. He tackles the old ones. And Answers in Genesis does the same thing. But today I got kicked out of a creation science group, and the email says, I still had the email too. The email says, you're being suspended because our statement of faith says that real science can't go against Young Earth creationism. And I said, if that is the case, then you guys are lying.
Don't you think that's interesting?
Very interesting. And I also think it's interesting how they try and demonize people who don't believe in the Young Earth, and they say, oh, well, you just aren't a Christian, you just don't understand the Bible. When in actuality, and like you said, Steve, I was looking at Humphrey's model, and I'm not really a math guy, but I just got done talking to my friend on the phone, and I said, this guy's model, his model explains the old Earth. It doesn't explain the Young Earth.
Mm-hmm. It's funny you mentioned that the statement of faith because one of the people on the RATES program, which is the radiometric dating of the Earth, supposedly done by Creation Science Institute. One of the things they say is that they were trying to do an independent study to determine the age of the Earth without taking into account deep time, right? Well, unfortunately, one of them, and actually more than one, but one I could definitely document with no question. In one of his books, stated very specifically that the conjecture of a young Earth was not a hypothesis to them; it was a conclusion. It was a foundation of statement of faith that the Earth is definitely young, and any evidence contrary could be easily dismissed, and they don't have to investigate it. So therefore, they already started with the conclusion that the Earth was young. And what scientist does that? What possibly position can you take as a scientist to say, my conclusion will be before I actually even evaluate the data? Go ahead.
Hey, can I take some time to shame the creationist group that Wayne was in? Because, I mean, if he was in our evolutionary little club, no girls allowed, human club, and he became like a younger creationist, I wouldn't kick him out. I would be like, well, fine, you're going to get It's what it. What a terrible thing. That's so. I mean, it's bad enough that they have that asinine statement of faith, which is weird, if anything. But then they kick someone out if he changes his mind.
Well, you make a great point on that. I mean, the thing is, you know what's funny is in Waynesford and other people here, they're like, oh well, if somebody's a young Earth creationist, then they're going to be shunned by the. And it's like, no, they're not being shunned because of their science. But if they promote the young Earth creationists as science, then yes, they're going to be shunned for it. But it's not an ideological thing; it is a scientific thing. And we don't stop talking to people if they believe this or that. Matter of fact, we welcome it. That's what I do. I welcome people on my channel to engage. I have somebody on tonight that's going to be very informative and engaging. But if this club or group, the community that you were in, Wayne, if they're so entrenched in their belief system that nothing's going to change them, then how could they even say that they have any kind of honest inquiry whatsoever, or they're being intellectually honest? They cannot longer say that because they're not.
And I think it's actually insulting to the other Christians who are in the fields, who have very strong faith, who are doing the science.
Absolutely. I mean, look at Fiona and the rest of them.
Well, we are kind of Wayne. I'm interested to hear what you think, but I think I'll talk a little bit longer. But I just wanted to ask again what I asked you last night. Now that you think the evidence points to an old Earth, is your faith rattled at all by that?
Nah. And the reason why is even though Humphrey's model is wrong on some of the math, it kind of fits into what people would call the gap theory for the Bible. I think if he did it right, instead of like clinging to the young Earth, he might have been able to fix the gap theory. But because he didn't fix it. So he just needs to he needs to stop with the he needs to stop concluding that I think the saying is the odd meets the means or whatever like that, or the means is the beginning or something like that. You guys know what I'm talking about. But if he stopped with the presuppositions,
The
he
ends
could
justify
answer
the
a lot of
means.
questions. Right, there you go. He could answer a lot of questions, and that's what I was telling my friend. I said, wow, this dude is really smart. He could answer the gap theory. His model kind of does, but it's kind of wrong. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So.
Yeah, again though, all these people they had come up with the conclusion first that obviously, they have to abide by the model that young Earth creationism is true, because for that very reason, as they did you in that group, is that they don't allow for any dissent. If you question it, you're ostracized, and that's exactly what they accuse scientists and evolution people of doing, which is to me is obscene, because we don't take people and say we're going to shun you because you question the paradigm. We want people to question paradigms. It's, can you demonstrate it? Can you prove what you're questioning? Can you show evidence that the paradigm is wrong? Because there's a lot of things that we think we know, and there's some things that I pretty much can guarantee are not going to be changed, but there are a lot of things that can change. And when those things are changed, we learn something from it. And to just shut people out and say, oh well, you're not accepting young Earth creationism anymore. It shows their character, shows a complete lack of honesty there, Wayne. And I'm very proud of you. And that group, yeah, they should be shunned. There are other groups out there. I go into evolution versus creationism, which is okay. And some other groups where there's a little more dialogue. They don't just sit there and hush people if they disagree. By the way, hang on real quick, Dragnot, I am going to have the thing on your channel tonight because I cannot stay online on my other account long enough to keep it live. So is it okay? Would you do that for me at 5:30?
At 5:30 Eastern?
No, Pacific.
So what is that, like 8 my time?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, just hit me up 30 minutes beforehand to remind me. Go ahead and make the group, and then I'll make the event. No, Omar, you can't play. I'll make the.
Yeah, I've already got it. Yeah.
You can't play? Ugh.
No play today. No play.
Hey, and also, you know what? You made a lot of good points there, Steve. One of them is that, I mean, we're crapping on this one group that was kind of mean to that were like just repulsive to Wayne, but that's not how all of these kind of clubs and stuff are. A lot of them are interested in having dissenting views come in. Uh, at the very least, just because people like, I mean, it's fun to argue and go back and forth with people with dissenting views. But the other thing is, it shows just the quality of the enterprises, the differences between the two enterprises of creation science and, I don't know, just mainstream science or something. One of them is damage control. The other one is trying to find out how to make sense of things, trying to explain things better. But what Wayne said earlier was great. The ends justify the means. When that happens, it's just damage control, and you don't. Nothing new is posited. Nothing new is considered, and it's kind of interesting because Wayne's not at all close to evolution. Especially the last thing he told me last night, his views. He thinks the Earth is young, but like I don't know if the other stuff has been
Well, no,
all that
I
persuasive,
changed my
right?
view on that too. I changed my view on that as well because the
Mhm.
evidence just lined up with it. But no, I'm not leaning towards evolution in any way, case. Or I'm open to it
Yeah.
if somebody can do what happened to me like a couple days ago, where the evidence lined up. Hey, I'll believe it. But
Yeah.
I don't see any reason to believe it. But as for the Earth being thousands of years old, it can be. It mathematically and scientifically and it cannot be only thousands.
Well, Wayne, one thing I noticed, something you had written last night on one of your videos. Hang on one second. You
Well,
said, hang on, I got to sneeze.
well, I had a point I was going to finish really quick.
Oh, okay, good.
I thought you were going to go, so I got excited. You just need to sneeze. Well, really quick,
I did great.
I just wanted to say, like, about the differences between the Enterprise. So I think that even if Wayne changed his mind on the old Earth, like, that's a valuable perspective to creation science enterprise. That could still help some sort of model if it was interested in better explaining the world and not interested in just making sure it conforms with an already decided position. But that's not, I mean, that's how it is, and the difference is like on our side, if he went, I don't think the Earth is young, but I don't think the Earth is old, but I accept evolution. We wouldn't kick him out because it would be like, well, that's kind of weird. How do you fit a young Earth with evolutionary biology? What's the interesting model you want to propose? We wouldn't just be like, okay, that's weird, you're out. So there we go.
It's cognitive dissonance, basically.
Yeah,
How do you
yeah,
resolve
and what I
it?
was saying. Oh my God, we make sure everybody's muted if you're not talking, because we're getting echoes and nobody can hear me.
It's all enlightened. Enlightened. There's something I'm not sure what's up with your mic.
Yeah,
My
but no,
headphones are missing at the
remember, I'm
moment.
on a tablet, so if everybody else is muted.
I was gonna say my headphones are missing at the moment, so I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, shit. I'm sorry, I didn't. Bad timing on that one. I didn't cut you off, man. Sorry. Um, but I was just saying that Wayne, you had said something on one of your videos last night in regards to you're wondering if evolution took place, and that it's basically kind of a misunderstanding, because if you think that it's something that evolution takes place, then we're not conveying to you the proper things that we should be conveying to you. That evolution is not something that took place. Evolution is something that's taking place. Evolution is something that happens every single day, or else you have species become clones. So it's an ongoing process. I mean, literally today, evolution has taken place in every species on the planet. So it's not something that has happened in the past, but baby steps, man. This is here about Young Earth Creationism. This isn't about evolution today. So, Anyways, JD Kane is here. So maybe JD Kane would like to congratulate you as well, because I don't think he sees people change positions that often. So go ahead, JD.
Hi everyone. Just not even sure what the conversation was. I just kind of jumped in out of nowhere. So what is going on?
Oh, we're having a little party for Wayne giving up Young Earth Creationism.
Always a good thing.
He went from, he basically discovered that the universe has to be old, and then just the rabbit trail had to lead him down to logical conclusions, such as like the Earth also being as old as well.
I mean, great. What else is there to say? Good job. That's it's so rare to meet a yeah. It's so great for creationists to change their mind because it's rare. Dogmatism is not easy to get through, so that's great.
Hey, I can get a little bit indignant though when I was on your show for the first time, Wayne, with Kent Hovind. That's the exact same argument I gave for why I think the Earth was young. I gave a coherentist argument that things like the speed of light cohere with a very old age, and you were like, "No, Joe, get out," and you banned me. No, that didn't really happen.
What?
That's not what happened.
Yeah, JD does that a lot. You know that. You disagree with JD, and he just kicks you.
No, it was Wayne's thing.
I am in fact all about booting people.
Well, you just boot them if they're not funny.
Usually it's when people are too quiet, like when because the show's only an hour, so we're trying to fill the airways as much as we can. People go in there and just kind of sit and listen. It's like that's not what the show's about. You need to actually participate. So occasionally, like, all right, you that, or it's prudent. If it's prudent, I always boot prudent because it's prudent.
I guess as an ex-Christian and ex-Young Earth Creationist, someone presents you with the evidence, you don't immediately change because everything that you believe and hold to be the case is tied up with your emotions as well. So abandoning something there and then is very, very unlikely to happen. You need to go away and think about it, so you're not just going to immediately change your position. But I do think it's brilliant, Wayne, that you're being intellectually honest and saying, right, okay, look, I can't hold this position anymore because the evidence just doesn't support my position, and I think that's brilliant. So yeah, fair play to you, mate.
Well, like I said, it's always nice because at the moment I'm trying to, I think Steve is as well, trying to explain to, I can't even say her name. It's Christina. Her also the whole full name is like Jesus Christ loves you and is wonderful. Colossians 1:15, 42, 73, and here's the quote. That's her whole name. I'm ridiculous like that. We're trying to explain to her that a theory and a scientific theory are not the same thing, and it's not going anywhere. It's just, no. A theory is just a guess, and facts are bigger than theories. And it's one thing to be wrong about stuff you shouldn't be wrong about, but to stay wrong. So I don't care how many links to things you tell me. I'm gonna be wrong in this same way anyway. Like,
hey,
how does that help? How does that spread the gospel?
Well, there's a really good post-debate article written by Bill Nye where he talks about how he prepped for it, and a bunch of people like Eugenie Scott and other people who have tangoed with Young Earth creationists in the past have told him, look, just say model, just stay away from theory because they will go whoa, theory, that's crazy, and just stick with model.
I agree, and I use that term often. I use them interchangeably. A theory in science is a model. They can be used interchangeably that way.
I mean, they can't, and also a model right away. I think it actually is intuitively, especially if you're getting past the colloquial issues. Unless they're thinking you're talking about a model airplane, then
it depends how dumb they are, right?
Yeah, right. If they're like,
I too will frequently refer to the evolutionary model. I think it flows better. The evolutionary theory, they start arguing about stupid stuff. It's like evolutionary model. Here's are its predictions. Here are its core propositions. Here's the evidence that here's A, B, and C, and here's why it necessarily must lead to X, Y, and Z.
Well, I think Dave hit it on the head, though. People don't want to change their position. They take it to mean a chink in their armor, like they're not as smart as everybody else. But I think that changing a position shows a sign of intelligence. I did it the other day. Everybody knows Hogtie Champ and the Rumpkist. They demonstrated that I was incorrect. Again, it took 3 freaking PhDs to over like 3 days to figure it out. But my hypothesis was wrong, and so why would I go down with a sinking ship? I mean, that'd be foolish. You just basically go, oh, yep, I was wrong. People that make hypotheses, and even in science, we get shit wrong. But the thing is when we're demonstrated that we're wrong, we go, oh yeah, okay, move on. It's not a slight toward anybody. It doesn't affect that that you made a mistake. As a matter of fact, that's what we do is make a lot of mistakes. But when we're corrected, that's the sign of somebody who actually understands science and knows who don't.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the difference between someone who accepts science and the scientific theories as the best explanation for things is very different to someone who accepts Christianity as an explanation for something. Because Christianity or Islam or any other religion is tied up with emotion. It's not just about facts. It's about this personal relationship that you've got with God. So to change your position is it's like breaking up with a girlfriend or whatever. There's an emotional attachment to it. Whereas when it's when you're wrong about a scientific position that you once held, you're not feeling like, well, I'm doing the person who came up with this theory some kind of disservice, and I need to cope with that emotionally. Whereas when you're dealing with religion, you're dealing with all of the emotional baggage that comes along with that, which is why it's often very difficult to argue against Christians and the Muslims, because when you're criticizing their position, they're taking it as a personal attack upon themselves rather than going, right, I need to intellectualize this. This is just a criticism of a position I hold, and that's the thing that makes it difficult to abandon. It took me 6 months to openly acknowledge that I no longer believed in the God of the Bible because of all the friends I was going to lose, and the fact that Jesus was my best friend and I was going to lose that, and it was a really emotional and difficult time. Whereas changing your position on a scientific idea doesn't necessarily have that same emotional tie.
Were you raised Young Earth Creationist, Dave? I mean, from an early age. And when did you start getting chinks in the armor, going, oh, I can't really support this position any longer?
Yeah, so I was raised a Christian, and when I was young, I was raised as a Young Earth Creationist. But then my parents sort of stopped talking about that so much and said that it's more important to worry about the Bible. If evolution is true, it doesn't change the fact that there's a God and da 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 da. But then I moved to a different church, and a lot of people there were Young Earth Creationists, and so I was exposed to a lot of books and stuff by Young Earth Creationists. I was exposed to answers in Genesis and stuff, and because you assume that these people are good people and that they're not going to lie, you assume that the stuff that you're being exposed to is honest. So when you're hearing, oh, well, this is what the atheists say, or this is what the scientists say, and they're lying, you assume that they're telling the truth about that. And it was only when I started reading the science myself and speaking to people and listening to videos and all that, that I was just like, wait a minute, that these guys have been completely misrepresented here. But I couldn't just go, so it's all bollocks. I had to go, what does this mean to me? I've got to completely reassess everything. So it took a long time. So I was raised it, but about the age of 17, I made a decision. Look, either this is true or it's not. And I took the position that it was true. So I did a lot of cognitive bias and read a lot around stuff that would support my point of view. Does that answer your question?
Oh yeah, and I think you once again you hit the nail on the head. Questioning these people's motives and their honesty and their integrity when they're promoting scientific stuff and the representation of things. And one of the first things that I noticed from Wayne that he was open-minded about was when we had our debate about macroevolution. I gave him what the scientific thing was and what books would actually say and what it actually meant, and then he compared it to what they were saying about it, and he realized that they were misrepresenting it. And that when you see AIG or Creation Research Institute or creation.com misrepresent something, then you have to stop and pause and go, well, if they're misrepresenting this, why? What's the motive behind misrepresentation? I mean, it's obviously a deceit, but is it because they don't have the scientific, evidence to support it? They have an agenda. But real quick, we got Reds in here, and I love Red, so I mean, quickly, I got to get him in real quick so he can congratulate Wayne as well, and say hi. Our buddy Reds, the infamous Reds.
Yeah, what's up?
Go ahead and tell Wayne congrats.
For...
We don't have to.
No, for what? What?
Oh, for, I think it's an or. Oh, he gave up Young Earth Creationism. He finally realized that the universe and the Earth is old.
Congratulations for accepting the obvious.
Touche, well, everybody comes to their own path, but hey,
Yes.
I tell you what, when you have your party for Drainism, when he changes position,
Oh, and not only are we going to have a party, I am going to hire strippers, I'm going to get fireworks, I'm going to get a DJ, and there's going to be free booze all around, and I'm going to commandeer the property for the Florida State Fair, and we're going to fucking do this shit. And I'm inviting
I'll play out
Slipknot.
there for that.
Fuck
Hell yeah,
yeah.
I play out there for that.
I'm gonna hire Slipknot. I'm gonna hire Metallica. I'm going to get Lamb of God there. Tool. I'm also gonna get Pantera. I'm gonna get all of them. Fuck it. I'll even bring Elvis Presley back from the grave for that shit.
I guess I could do it with Michael Jackson.
Yeah. No. Fuck that guy.
That would add a real dark turn to the party, wouldn't it? It's just like, and I've dug up Elvis's body as well.
Yes, and so that'll be a day, but seeing Cool Hard Logic rip him a new one is a close second.
Yeah, that was quite entertaining what Cool Hard Logic did. I mean, it was brutal. I mean, I would expect Cool Hard Logic to be no less.
Yeah,
But,
of course.
Yeah,
But
he was exceptionally on his game on that video.
Well, the thing is that a lot of people who don't know that Cool Hard Logic is really into not just the science but the history of it. I don't really give a fuck about the history. I mainly care about the here and now, because the here and now is what's really important in science. So, but he is interested in the history, and so that was right up his alley. In fact, he told me in a private message that he was going to go after that video, and I said, okay, here's what I'll do. I'll stay off it, and I'll let you take that one. He said, okay, fine. And then he made his fucking ISS looks slow video, and I had to jump on that one instead, so that was fun. But yeah, Cool Hard Logic, definitely, once again, World of Bad Shit, great. And right now I'm taking bets, actually. Is Juranism going to make a 2-hour-long reply to that, or a 3-hour-long reply? Taking bets now.
I already gave you one on that. I said it was going to be 2, but you know what? I'm gonna update it. Can I append it because he hasn't started it yet? If he does it, I'm gonna say 2.5 hours. Okay.
2.5 hours. Okay, so we're gonna go for the middle. Anyone else want to take a bet? Nope. Okay. So 2.5 hours it is from you, Steve.
And what did you say? You said 3, didn't you, Red?
I said 3 hours because honestly, when you have your shit shoved up your ass that hard, it's gonna take a lot of effort to squeeze it back out again.
It's funny is when I do get my computer working again and I start making videos, I can't make a video about Wayne now. It's like, damn it. I had a couple things in mind too, but oh well.
Yeah, well, the good news is that Cool Hard Logic is done with his. I just finished the script for my next video, and my next video should be up relatively soon. And of course, I don't know if this is going to be like the best awesome video that I made or the last awesome video that I make, because the rest of them from this point forward are going to be rather low budget quality, but the content will still be there, the information will still be there, the ownage will still be there, just with less how do I say, flair.
Yeah, we'll definitely look forward to it. I know you're going to go shoot an Atlas going up.
No, it's Falcon 9.
Falcon 9. Okay. That's Fiona's Falcon 9, right?
Yep, Fiona's Falcon 9, and because I was thinking, who deserves it, Fiona, and don't worry, Steve, your name's on there too. But I got a special rocket for you. It's coming up in April.
It's gonna be a Piccolo Pete with wings.
I got a special rocket. Don't worry, I'll be the first one that blows up.
That'd be me. That'll
I
definitely
mean,
be
like, dedicated to Steve, and then I'm gonna have like awesome heavy metal music, and then boom, and be like, yep,
love the heavy metal.
yep. There's there goes the Donald Trump 5 or something, some shit like that. I don't know.
Are you going to be available for my thing with the Jay tonight? Are you going to be available?
Depends, because usually I'll have to. I usually go to bed around that time because I work nights, but I'll definitely watch it though.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think I'll be able to join in. But thanks for the invite.
Of course. Reds, you always have a place on my panel. I will tell you this right here now. You, Dragnot, Fiona, you guys are like will always have a spot, par none. Okay. So just remember
That's because we all know our shit, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, mostly. No, I'm just kidding. No, of course you guys do. And that's. I mean, it's not even just you know your shit. It's you're able to relate the shit. You're able to explain the shit. You're able to handle yourself in interlocutories. I mean, what else could you want? I mean, that's like the perfect person to have on a panel, right?
This is true. And speaking of conversations on your channel, when am I going to get my chance to go against that fuckhead again that thinks the Big Bang was, quote, an explosion?
Once again, I'll tell you what. I will contact him first thing tomorrow. He lives in what is it? England, I think.
Yeah.
Or somewhere. Yeah, I mean, Australia. I don't remember. But yeah, I will get Samuel King again. I know he promised you, and if somebody makes a commitment, I will definitely try to follow up on it. Just like Grimm tried to make a Grimm said he would debate MMA artist. So MMA, I'm working. You're listening. I'm working that for you as well to get Grimm to debate you. And yeah, I'll talk to Samuel. I want to see that happen because he definitely said he would go against you on that. So
yeah, because here's the thing though. This guy literally lost his shit when I told him that the Big Bang is still, quote, banging. And he goes, wait a minute, it's still happening? I go, how? That doesn't make any sense. I go, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, you got to remember, Samuel King was the guy that thought that rocks had genes and reproduced.
Yeah, of course.
We're not dealing with the intellectual elite here.
Yep. And here we see the rock mating with another rock so that it can get birth to a baby rock. Because reasons. Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's where pet rocks come from.
You all believe that we all came from rocks. I go, no!
I love that. When a mama rock and a daddy rock get together, they give a special kind of hug that produces pebbles.
Here in the bush we see two rocks mating with babies.
You ever see rock porn?
Yeah, and then yeah. And he goes, oh, spray that sand all over my face.
Get that silicone all over me.
Someone has got to make a spoof of that. Rock porn. College humor, get on that.
We can do that, man.
Nice nodules.
Oh. I get that lava flow all over my boobs.
Look at the geodes on her.
Wow, look at her. She's a sedimentary.
Oh.
Have you been to the latest stalactite cafe?
Oh
She's
man.
got a hell of a pair of stalactites.
Look at the volcanoes erupting. She's hot.
She's hot.
Dude, we can probably go all day, right?
Yep, she's molten.
Smoking.
I bet she gets you rock hard.
Oh, dude, I'm so hard. I could cut into a diamond. The thing is that when something is so outrageously stupid, you could just go on forever. I mean, just look how long ago was it that Arcane made the comment that birds have fart propulsion? And we're still going on
not that long ago, sadly.
I just re-listened to that video. Somebody had posted just that clip, and I've heard it before a long time ago, and I didn't really even know who Arcane really was at the time. This was quite some, about when it happened. But yeah, when you listen it over again, and you actually look at, you can look at Wiki, and they have a really good thing on the bird. I think it was Wiki that shows like the lungs and how they do it a little bit different than humans do on their exhalation and inhalation. And him to go, oh yeah, it basically air just flows from the mouth, and goes right through them and passes out their ass, kind of thing. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way, man.
Yeah, go figure. Yeah, it is stupid, which is why Arcane is best known for it. I mean, can anyone here honestly look at Arcane with a straight face now and not fucking laugh at him? I can't. Every time I see him, it's like, yep, you're a fucking idiot.
No, I mean
Well, apparently he doesn't owe me any explanation. I was asking him questions about a flat Earth. He's like, I don't know you anything. I'm like, okay. And he got upset that I was still responding. I'm like, yeah, I can't make you answer, but I can point out that you're not.
Yeah, exactly. See, the thing was is that he actually got into a combo with me. I guess he wasn't aware that I was actively going against this flat earther bullshit and was very well versed in it. And so he came at me in a hangout. I think it was MK's hangout. I'm not exactly sure. And everything he threw at me, I had an answer for and a scientific explanation on how he was wrong. I went down to the last decimal point, and this motherfucker didn't understand any of it. And finally, after I was calling him to task, someone actually got pissed off in the room and said, "You've been having science shoved up your ass for the last 2 hours now, and the one fucking question I have you can't answer. You are a piece of shit, a liar, a fraud, and a dumb fuck." I was like, wow, holy shit.
Nice.
And then I was like, okay, Arcane, just to answer this, are you going to answer any of my questions? He said no, and then booted the guy who raged at him out because MK thought it was a good idea to give him mod controls because reasons. So I said, oh, you're going to boot that guy out? Yeah, no, I'm gone. See ya. So I left because I wasn't going to be in a hangout with Arcane having controls.
Yeah, no, we all left right after you. I didn't get booted, but as soon as you left, I left too. I was like, oh, hells no.
Yeah, I ain't dealing with this shit. Because anyone that thinks it's a good idea to give... In fact, I jumped down MK's throat about that. I go, MK, what the fuck were you thinking giving Arcane controls? Do you know how bad of an idea that is? And he's like, I know. And I'm like, well, if you know, then why the fuck did you do it?
Well, MK has kind of been slipping lately. I don't know if you watched it yesterday, but we were in there. It was Realistic Nihilist, Floyd, myself, and a few other people, and he was having this existential crisis. And yeah, he was really going into real La La Land territory. So I'm getting kind of concerned.
This is why I don't go into his hangouts anymore, because they're retarded. I mean, there's no easy way to say it, or I should say, nice way of saying it. They are fucking retarded now. They are worse than audio hangouts. And that's saying something.
Bad. I gotta admit, it was like you said, it was pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. And I'm like, no, you've officially lost me to ever participate in this clusterfuck. I mean, I like a clusterfuck as much as the next guy, but don't make it this kind of clusterfuck. Make it the enjoyable clusterfuck, not the clusterfuck where you have Arcane having controls.
Well, he also lets Darwin take over, and he's got to stop that. He capitulates to Darwin's deity, and it's like, no, we're not going to do that. Darwin's welcome to come into my hangout any time, but I'm not going to capitulate to him. But real quick, one of the things I think we got to harp on, and JD has pretty much just got this cornered down. What is the core predictions? What is the core things that these theories are supposed to have, like flat Earth? What's some of the core tenets it has, and what's some of the predictive modeling it has? They will never be able to answer those questions ever.
I mean, it shouldn't be hard either. If the Earth is flat, then we should necessarily see these things, and they don't. Yes. The thing is, the only things they want to mention are things that we would expect to be the case anyway. We would expect all these things that they mention. There's none of these things that are surprising.
For example, the illusion that looks like the horizon is rising with you. The illusion that the horizon is flat, because yes, to the naked eye, it is going to look flat. It's a little thing called geometry, and these fuckers need to learn how to use it. Oh, we can't. If the Earth is flat, we should be seeing the sun rise and set because of perspective. That is bullshit, but they still bring that up. And,
well, I mean, the biggest ones are the obvious ones, the ones that they have to put conspiracy and a big stamp on top of it. That was this, we should see pictures of the Earth from the moon.
Yeah.
That is seeing it around. We shouldn't see pictures of it from satellites and
I've
other
shoved that particular
spacecraft
point.
And the station and seeing it round.
Yeah, I've
those
shoved
are
that
things
particular point up their ass.
Yeah, those are things we should necessarily not see, and we see them.
Yes. The one of the things that I have been getting up on is their quote mines of many people in the scientific community. Like, for example, I've seen people quote mine Stephen Hawking, Albert Einstein, most recently Brahe, which Kuhar Logic already shoved up that guy's ass, so yay. Kepler and Cassini. They're basically quote mining these people as if to suggest that there's some sort of intellectual dishonesty within the scientific community, bearing in mind that the scientific method wasn't established until the 1800s, and these people lived and died in the 1600s and 1700s. So you have your first problem there, and not only that, they take what they're saying then and ignoring what people are saying now. If science was wrong about something in the past, that's fine. That's fine. People make fuck-ups all the time. But the scientific method is there to weed out the fuck-ups so that only the good shit remains. And guess what? That does take time. And now that we are currently in the satellite age, we have pretty much weeded out all the fuck-ups so that there's no misunderstanding. The Earth is round. That these people are dipshits for not understanding that.
Yeah, and that's a huge fallacy people have when they start quote mining people that lived 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300, 400, 500, 600 years ago. It's like, that doesn't tell us anything about their position would be if they were alive today.
Yeah.
It
also doesn't give us a reason why we should care. That's the biggest thing when I hear quotes from, Einstein. Like, a lot of religious people will like to quote mine or quote Einstein using the word God and say, well, see, look, there's a really smart guy and he was religious. Who gives a shit? Reality is not determined by a handful of quotes by a handful of people.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't seem to understand that. And also, I find it funny that one person, Dranism in particular, says that, oh, well, look at this quote, and then simultaneously says that, oh, but math is not reality. And I'm like, hang on. Fuckface, what is Einstein most famous for? Oh, yeah, a mathematical equation. What did he use to find that mathematical equation? Oh, yeah, more fucking mathematics. So you're quoting from this guy as an authority, yet you're shitting on the work that he is known for doing. So you're basically calling him a fraud and a liar and a bullshitter while simultaneously calling him an authority on something. Okay, let that sink in for a moment, and facepalm.
Well, yeah, and they don't want to address the math or the physics because they know they can't. Okay, half the people on these hangouts that don't know enough about the topic to actually engage on that level. But the other part is they know they'll never win. They have to only rely on works done by a certain handful of young Earth creationists or flat earthers that are up there. Like it's not so much flat Earth, but the geocentrists. Like what is it, Mark Sunganis and Wyatt, and who's the other one? And the ones that did like the movie The Principle. Same kind of math they use to try to confuse people. But they'll never win on a scientific level. They never win on a level where, okay, let's look at the math and see if it works out.
Yeah.
You know that. That's why they don't do it.
Yeah.
So they have to try to say who cares about math.
Yeah, sometimes it does take a while to actually work through, and people have a tendency to just throw a whole bunch of numbers out there and just let it float out there in the ether or whatever the fuck they believe. The difference between their videos and mine, though, is that I go into detail and I explain which each number represents. If I don't do it myself, there's a diagram right next to the actual mathematics showing what that number refers to. That way nobody is confused and people can follow along. This isn't difficult shit. And that's how I made my videos. That's how I made my videos in part 2, 3, and 4. I also did a little bit in part 1, but that was before a household came on board. Now, after I did that, he's saying that my math is bullshit. I ask him, prove it. Guess what? Silence. It's just an assertion with nothing backing it up because these motherfuckers really think that, quote, oh, if it disagrees with me, it must be wrong. What an intellectually dishonest shithead.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. Not to change the line you're talking about, but Wayne, you typed something on the side. Can we address that real quick? If that's okay.
What's on the side that you wanted to address?
He said Lenski proves me right, quote unquote.
Okay.
What is it about Lenski's experience? Again, not to change it to flat Earth. I love listening to you and flat Earth, you know that. But curious because you typed that. What is it about Lenski's experiments that seems to prove you right way?
Well, as far as like evolution, like I do believe evolution happens, and as a matter of fact, I do believe in like speciation and stuff like this, and Patrick speciation and all that stuff. But as far as like common descent, I'm still a skeptic of it. So I mean, you guys can point me in evidence to it the right way, but like you know how even me coming to like the old Earth conclusion, it wasn't because I was pressured to do it. I just looked at the evidence. I saw, well, they can't explain this, and they know they can't explain it, and they keep on going around it, and they're not trained in any in that field, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where I'm at right now with that.
No, and I understand. And yes, we'll get you to that point with common descent because it's kind of a not a hard climb from speciation to macroevolution to common descent. They're pretty much almost integrally related. But specifically, you said the Lenski experiment. What is it about the Lenski that seems to demonstrate your position on that? Because Lenski wasn't about common descent. Lenski was about an ability of an organism to produce new metabolic pathways. And it wasn't even due to that. It was kind of a thing that just happened. But there's a mutation that produced a new metabolic pathway to an existing one that allowed the bacteria to metabolize citrate in an anaerobic environment, which they had the ability to do before, but not in the presence of oxygen. Was it with the presence of oxygen or without the presence of oxygen? Somebody refresh my memory on that. Anybody who's going to go look it up? I can't right now.
I'm looking it up right now.
I think it was without, if I have to guess.
So they have,
Fake in my memory.
I think they have. Okay, I remember now. They have the ability to process citrate and metabolize it in an oxygen environment, but they were deprived of oxygen, and so they weren't able to process the citrate. But after a period of several generations, they produced new metabolic pathways to the existing one that allow them to process the citrate without oxygen, and that is what evolution would predict. That is a confirmation. Even though we had many confirmations before, but this is something like JD was saying. What would it predict? It would predict something like that happening. Go ahead.
Right. They were able. So basically, they were able to adapt and eat the food better.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Simplistically, sure.
So simplistically, because I like baby steps. But as far as like so. One of the biggest arguments I keep on hearing is, well, we're all made of the same stuff, so maybe we came from one another. And I kind of sort of agree, like, yeah, we all made of the same stuff. Like, your DNA is like 26, and there's people who deny that. They're like, no, we're not made of the same stuff. That's a lie. No, that's true. But as far as us descending from a common ancestor slowly over time, I'm still skeptical of it. Somebody could definitely prove it to me. So.
Well, two things. One again, I don't know how that has to do with Lenski's experiment, but the second thing is, remember when I believe it was me and Isaiah, we had explained to you that Tompkins' work that he said that human beings and chimps were only 70% related, and then we explained to you the problem with blast and why that number was wrong.
Right. Then he retracted it. Right. He retracted it twice. Right.
But that same information, that same studies that why we're related actually indicate common descent as well. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's why we see these sequences we see. It's not just the similarities. It is the fact that the only way to explain these similarities is common lines of phylogeny. Either that or basically magic. There's no other way. Now, you could say, yes, God created everybody to look alike, but again, we're going to look similar. But the problem with that, again, is think about it rationally. If you have DNA evidence for somebody who commits a crime, and you're in front of the judge and you say, hey, judge, I know my DNA is a match to what's a crime scene, but it wasn't me. God just made somebody, made that evidence look like mine. It was not going to fly. So if you're going to be scientific, you got to be scientific. And the evidence is it has to be common descent because there's no other way we could share the amount of similarities we have, unless you say, of course, God has made it look that way, but that's not a real scientific approach.
Also, I've just posted a link in the side chat by Lenski, who says that all of the evidence points towards common descent. So if he, like you said, Lenski proves me right, well, he's arguing against himself. I'd be interested. I mean, I don't understand why you think he proves you right, because he says that all of the evidence points towards it has to be common descent. And if you look at the link I've just posted, he explains that quite clearly.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm on my shitty computer, so I literally have my face next to the microphone. And this is something weird that I've seen with Wayne is
Dragnet. Move your face back. You sound like Ronnie.
Okay, is that better?
Much better.
Okay. So I'm really wondering how Wayne in his mind separates the fact that let me start off on a good note. He acknowledges that we are all DNA based life. Is that correct, Wayne? Wayne? Yeah, okay, maybe okay. So from what I understand, Wayne accepts that we're all made of the same stuff. I'm going to take that as meaning that life is DNA based. We can't be DNA based, all of us, in that all living organisms, and then not have a commonality with our predecessors. You can't jump from one to the other. The fact that we all do share a common ancestor is why we're all made of the same thing. So is there an alternative explanation that you're willing to put forth, Wayne, that explains this commonality?
Oh, well, like I said, just my hypothesis. I can't make a model of this, of course. If somebody can make a model of that, that'd be great. Maybe I'll work on that. But my hypothesis is that we're all made of the same stuff because even us like metabolizing food and stuff like that. We all have like got to do that the same way. We all work like even and I believe the reason why we're made out of the same stuff is so we can find like certain cures for diseases and stuff like that, right? Because certain animals have the same parts we have, so maybe this guy that made us are the same. He did it in that way, so because maybe down the line he knew, hey, these people might get sick or whatever like that, they might need to cure themselves or whatever. So I'm going to make these animals with the same parts, so they won't need to do experiments on each other.
That seems like. Sorry, can I just?
Yeah, go ahead.
As an ex-Christian, right? Okay, those are the kind of things that I used to think, and it makes no sense that that's an explanation because that doesn't then match with the nature of God, because that's like saying, well, stuff might go wrong, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that a pig can have its heart transplanted into a human, rather than just going, I'm going to make it so that humans don't need to have their hearts transplanted. That's a much better situation that I've got. But the other thing is that all the science, every bit of biological science, points to the fact that we have common ancestors, and it's like as we map the human genome more and more. Well, we've already mapped the human genome, but as we understand genetics more and more and DNA more and more and more, we find all of these commonalities. It's not a case of having to do much research. It's freaking blatantly obvious. There's no other conclusion you can come to where, unless you give an explanation like you've just given Wayne, I'm not having a go at you. I totally understand your mindset, but it's blatantly obvious, and you're ignoring the blatantly obvious. It doesn't require. I've not got a scientific mind. Like I watched that hangout with you and Steve, and it blew my mind. The stuff that Steve was saying, it blew my mind. I couldn't wrap my head around it. But like talk origins, man. It's go there and it'll just answer all of your questions. But continue to be open-minded like you are, because you'll get there.
Real quick, did you see that article just recently about this flower that was found in amber, several million years old? And it looks something to me, something out of science fiction. It looks like something I would expect an old, a flower with that had common ancestry to all the flowers we had today. It's like one of the original flowers. This thing is amazing, but I thought you might want to check it out because it's millions of years old and it just looks something alien almost.
Well, I find his statement very interesting because he says that God is supposedly having this foresight that he's going to help us, I guess, maintain homeostasis and maintain our health by making us, I guess, have similar parts, is how he's saying it, similar parts to other animals. what would be even better is that if he honestly made us unique, and we weren't DNA based, we were based on some other group of amino acids that comprise themselves in a different arrangement. You know, maybe instead of having adenosine, fucking cytosine, guanine, and thymine, they're just totally unique nucleotides, and that changed how we are fundamentally, so we don't get these cross-species diseases. That would actually eliminate so much issues. You know, from I mean, have you ever seen a pathophysiology book? It's huge. Like it's ridiculously huge on all the things that can go wrong with the human body. So if he's going to have that foresight, then we need to actually be created unique rather than similar to these things that can actually infect us with their diseases.
That's a good point. I don't have the answer to that, but I don't know. All I can say is I don't know. I'll do some more research on it. I'll definitely check out Talk Origins. I've been on their website a couple of times. I haven't really looked at their stuff, but all I can even say is I keep on digging deeper, and my mind is still being shaped and formed. So.
Yeah, Talk Origins is really good. The only thing about Talk Origins, I think they could make it a little more easily read. I don't think the readability is great, but their informational context is excellent. Yeah.
What I love about Talk Origins is the searchability of it. So someone you can either have an idea, or someone can make a claim, and you can quickly find the answer to it. And what I love about it is their sourcing of it all. So yeah, I agree. It's not the most readable website from a design point of view as well. It's a pretty ugly website, but it's the fact that it has all of the links and all of the sources so that you can check everything. Because a lot of creationists, and this isn't you, Wayne, but a lot of creationists will be like, that's evolutionary propaganda. And it's like, well, it's not. Because if it was propaganda, there'd be no links to any of the scientific papers that it cites. So it's a really good. It's like it's really good. It's like Wikipedia. It's a good starting point. And then you can go on from there and read the books and find out about the scientists. And what's good about it is, I mean, I've just typed in common ancestry, and there's masses on there, and it just deals with it in a really neat way.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they do reason. I mean, it is a gateway. Like I said, it's a good way to start, and then you can research things from there. But it's funny is, a lot of people say, oh, well, Talk Origins is some shill and they're so wrong and blah blah blah. When you ask them, okay, which part of it is wrong? Give me explanation of what's wrong. Never have I ever really got an answer on that.
It's a good example of the genetic fallacy. Like, well, I'm not listening to that. I don't like the source. Like, what about the information presented? I don't care. I don't like the source.
Yeah, and I mean, people say that, but only reason I don't do much with AIG or those sources anymore is because I've already been there, done that. So it's not like that I'm not addressing the claims from like creation.com or anything like that. It's because I've already done it many times. We already talked about it many times. And so, I kind of avoid just somebody posting, oh, well, AIG says this. I'm like, you know what, go back and review what I already said about it before. So it's not a genetic fallacy at that point when I say I've already looked at what Tompkins has said or Humphreys has said and done a little bit of evaluation on it. So yeah, they're just outright. They're just like, oh, well, Talk Origins, they're just wrong. Well, okay, but nobody has a paper as to why they're wrong.
And the other thing as well, Wayne, sorry, just to carry on talking about papers, is have you got any peer-reviewed evidence for the position that you hold? That's what I'd be interested in.
Well, there isn't a lot of people who hold to the position that common descent isn't true, and there was a guy who made us with similar parts. So no, so I would have to admit that's not a scientific position.
Why is that, Wayne?
Have you ever wondered why that is?
I guess maybe the science speaks against what I'm saying, so I'll have to look at it more. So, but I'm not going to say, oh, well, the science speaks in my favor, whatever like that, and they don't know what they're talking about. So,
well,
of course, they could, if any one of them could come up with an actual proof or something that they could write a paper about and have peer reviewed, and some real paper but you never see these unless they're going through one of the mills or the the other sites that peer review their own papers. But you never see any. If you could prove evolution wrong or common descent wrong, you know what that would do for you?
It would get you a lot of money and a lot of that.
A huge amount of money, research money, the Nobel Prize money. If you could actually prove something wrong like that.
One of the things that I found when I was a Christian, I used to read a lot of Answers in Genesis. One of the things that really sticks in my mind is something that either Jonathan Safati, or however you pronounce his last name, and or Ken Ham, I can't remember which one of the two said it. So we don't do research. The scientists do research, and so we don't have to pay for research. It's all done for us, and then we just debunk their papers. And it's just like, well, now, and at the time I thought, yeah, but you're honest people, so I trust you. But now I look back on that and I just think that's so fucking dishonest and
well, that's what I think hurts them a lot, is their dishonesty. They're their worst. Some of them are their own worst enemies, basically.
I had invited Safati to come on the program tonight with Jay. I actually talked to him for a little while. I've talked to him before in the past, but he just said he was busy with his book deal. But when I've engaged with Safati before, what I've noticed is that, one, he is self-referential. He's usually extremely belligerent and mean and rude for the most part. He hasn't been with me, but I've noticed that with other people. But somebody else commented about the people peer reviewing their own work. That's what he does. I mean, everything he says is basically reviewed by other people that have already come to the conclusions, rather than independent people. And then he told me, well, it's just a matter, I'm quoting, it's just a matter of interpretation. And I'm
actually, I just want to say, it's not a conclusion. Everyone at the CMI are Clarkian presuppositionalists. So they presuppose that they've got the right answer. They haven't actually concluded anything. They're like, well, this is the right answer because that's our starting axiom.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you. Well, no, I would say they've concluded that their presupposition cannot be wrong. That isn't a conclusion. I mean, even in the rate study, they've already concluded the end results have to match the Young Earth presupposition. So there's some conclusions going on. But yeah, it's definitely a Clarkian presup that they go by. But unfortunately, they can never change their presup. They cannot they're not honest enough to say, well, you know what? If the evidence goes against me, I'm going to get rid of that presup because it's a bad presup. I mean, we have a presup like uniformitarianism. If you can demonstrate that uniformitarianism is wrong, we have to change it. They won't. They're incapable of that. It goes against their whole belief system to do that.
I mean, it's pretty easy to come to the conclusion that you're right when you start off with the presupposition that you're right.
Yeah, or you already have the answer. You're just trying to make everything fit.
I mean, they quite literally say, okay, this fits. We're going to hold on to this. This doesn't. Let's ignore it.
Well, yeah, and it's funny is again. Safati has a video out called DNA Chicken and the Egg or something, and I had posted something explaining a little bit about RNA world hypothesis and why, he wasn't telling the whole story. And of course, a couple people were like, okay, well, you're wrong, but not a single one of them was able to point out what exactly was wrong in my initial comment. And anybody could read the thread. I'm like, okay, but there might be a technical problem here and there, but if so, point it out. But they wouldn't even point out the technical difficulties. They're just saying, well, that's not, that's just a guess. And I'm like, no, it's called a hypothesis. Well, yeah, it's not proven. That's why it's a hypothesis. Where's the miscommunication here, people?
No, I was working on this today earlier about behavior and stuff, because I do that for the sports care. What JD was saying, they are still in their presuppositions, is because they have assumed ideas, and their complex right now is that the external part, everybody else, the right type of science, the facts, to them, instead of actually coming over as facts, they see as an attack on their behavior and their own internal state. So it's actually a loop they are finding themselves in, and that's why they kicked Wayne out, because Wayne was, would be an intoxication for their environment. We would be an influence on behavior. We will eventually be an influence on belief and values and blah blah blah. So that's why they kick him out, because they're in constant circle of their precepts and thinking they're attacked. Precept thinking they're attacked. In other words, they're saying, oh, if some mathematician can figure it out, how come I can't figure it out? It's what is it, the Dunning-Kruger bias? Was it Dunning-Kruger? Was it?
Dunning-Kruger.
Dunning-Kruger, the skill bias is it? It's psychological. This has nothing to do with facts. This has to do with human behavior. Because anybody who has a good set of brains that knows fact from fiction know what is right and what is wrong. You can figure that shit out. We haven't created scientific models for nothing. We can't trust on ourselves as human beings. We will fuck up. And that's why they're in a constant loop, man. And then if somebody actually, I still, at one point I said, okay, good job, Wayne, that you realized that, hey, 1 and 1 equals 2 and not 3. But still, man, it's more behavioral than actually factual with those people. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it is behavioral too. But Wayne, he always said he would adjust behavior and adjust things as he studied and learned more. He followed through with that. I don't think I've ever seen anybody really do that. I can't really nobody comes to mind, at least, that actually looked at the evidence and followed through with it. The only thing I'm wondering is if he's going to change his Google Plus photograph about creationism. That's all. Specifically Young Earth, because creation science is a misnomer for that very reason, Wayne. As JD said, when you start off with a presupposition, and as these people said, that they've already reached the conclusion that they're right because the conclusion is that they're right based on the fact that they're right. It's so circular. So there's nothing scientific about creation science. They're just not. They're not objective. They're not looking for how to explain anything. They're just basically trying to manipulate data to fit their own precept. That's it. That's the only thing creation science does. There's no independent validation of it whatsoever. Are you beginning to realize that, though?
I do want to mention
you guys the email that was sent to me.
Hold on a second. All three major websites for creation science, the Answers in Genesis, the Institute for Creation Research, and Creation Ministries International, all three of them have statements of faith to the effect of the Bible is inerrant, and we have to start with this. Any evidence that says that our interpretation of the Bible is not the case must be wrong in some way. There's no way to do scientific work if you start with that. And so all three of them admit up front, we are not a science organization, despite the fact that they'll talk about science quite often. They're not actually talking about science. They're talking about, well, here's what we could conclude if we start with the idea that our interpretation of the Bible is inerrant.
Real quick, before you go, Wayne, before I let you go, Wayne, can I read something off to you, Wayne, that I think all you guys might find interesting? It's something I was saving for tonight, but I'm gonna bring it up now because I don't think Jay's listening anyways. But because I will bring it up to him. He can listen anyway. Let's try to figure it out. But you'll find that if you go to ICR, one of the things they say, and I'm going to quote this, they said, RATE team had no preconceived ideas regarding what might be found in regards to the rates data, the data for the age of the Earth, the radiometric dating. And also one of the things they say is they came into the project with no preconceived ideas about what the data would show. Vardaman said this. He was one of the people on the RATES program. He said, that's from Radioisotopes in the Age of the Earth, Volume 2. Okay, so he said they came into the project with no preconceived ideas of what the data would show. However, one of the same people on the rates data, Dr. DeYoung, says in one of his books, The Guiding Principle, that, quote, this is not simply a working hypothesis to be tested to whether it is true or false. Instead, it is a basic conclusion drawn from the biblical record of creation as written by the only one that was present, God himself. So the two people that were on this project, one says they had no preconceived notions about what the data would show, and the other one says it was not a working hypothesis. They already have conclusions drawn from the biblical record about what the data would show.
Brute fact.
That's a complete inconsistency there.
Yeah, that's a brute fact. Yeah.
If that's not damning evidence towards what these people consider to be creation science, I don't know what would be. How else would you interpret that there, Wayne? When on one hand, one person says they had no preconceived notions, the other one says brutally it was not a working hypothesis to be tested whether it's true or not. It was instead a basic conclusion, and they used the word conclusion. So, Dave, I mean, Wayne, do you think that? I mean, do you think they're being honest there? I mean, I already know your answer, but
Well, as a matter of fact, I wanted to read you guys the email, but basically summed up. Everything can be summed up from the email that I got today, and the name of the group is Creation Science Alliance, and this is the same group that Creation Today is a part of, and a lot of the other like Young Earth groups are a part of. And I got the email, and the email says something to the fact where it said, "You went against our statement of faith." And the statement of faith says that the Bible can't go against real science. And I noticed too, in a lot of debates with people who are old Earth or people who are theistic evolutionists or whatever, they always say this same argument that I think is damaging, where they say, "Oh well, the Bible is real science, and what you believe isn't real science. Therefore, you don't believe the Bible."
and we know that to be absurd because we have a lot of people that accept the Bible in the community, and they're still, educated scientists.
Exactly. And especially when they come against Hugh Ross. I told you Hugh Ross was one of the guys who changed my mind. He has some brilliant arguments, and from the things that they were saying, I noticed that when they couldn't win the argument with evidence, they would always go towards ad hominem attacks, and they didn't understand the arguments he was making about basically just I started off with astronomy, and Kent Hovind's argument was, well, how can we possibly understand that these stars are billions of light years away? That's too much of an idea for us to conceive. But we do understand these things. So you're wrong.
Well, I mean, Hovind is not the first person I would go to for advice and information on astronomy, obviously.
Well, no,
or anything for that matter.
It was basically all of the Young Earth models I was going to, and one guy admitted, he said, we have a real problem in astronomy, and he was like, I don't know, maybe somebody down the line can come and fix this, and that's when it dawned on me. I'm like, maybe you guys are like coming to the wrong conclusion because you guys are just wrong.
Well, at one time, Kent Hovind actually said something to the fact that parallax cannot be used to determine star distance. He said the most we could do is something like 20 light years away. And Reds can tell you that that's just bullshit. I mean, we can go much further than that. I mean, I think right now we could probably get close to 1,000 light years with parallax.
We could do better than that in radio astronomy. They're down to like point something milliarcs of a second. I mean, it's just billions.
Down to 0.001 arc second.
Yeah, I think that puts us billions of light years away.
Well, not talking about visual. No, it won't be that much.
No, not visual. I'm talking about
quite a bit distance in 20 light years, as he's suggesting.
The very large base array.
Yeah. So I mean, this guy's blowing smoke out of his ass on this, and but he's the same guy that said, well, we've never discovered stars being born. Well, yeah, we have.
We can see that.
Yeah. So I mean, the dishonesty that these people have is amazing. And this is what I think Wayne started realizing, is that we're not the ones being dishonest. Every time we give scientific information, people think, oh, well, you're trying to manipulate. And even today, I mean, Tommy Hall's like saying, well, you just manipulated Wayne. I'm like, no, everything I say is validatable. Well, I hope to. If not, correct me. But this is the game that they play, because as Wayne said, they don't have the science behind it, so they've got to go some other path. They've got to use some other method to try to do ad hominem or discredit. And that's what they think we do. It's like, no, I don't have to discredit you. I just have to discredit your data. Hey, welcome, MMA.
Sup?
Oh no.
I'm keen for the discussion at hand at 11 o'clock.
Did you congratulate Wayne yet?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I didn't. Congratulations, Wayne. So is it you're fine with now with human evolution, or is that still something else you have to look into?
Yeah, that's something I'm working on. I believe in evolution, but not in the sense of common descent. But I'll check it more out. I'll check it out. I'll weigh every avenue.
Baby steps.
Yeah, I think one of the strongest evidences for human evolution is the chromosome number 2.
Yeah, I agree here as well. I think it's very strong, and it's so
I
funny.
mean, if you actually understand what that's saying and what we're seeing there, I mean, there's basically I don't know if there's a defense for that. I don't know if there is there, magic. Yeah, other
I've
than
had people tell me alien intervention. I'm not lying to you. I'm not even making this shit up. Literally, it was alien. I had a person the other day. Alien intervention. That's the explanation.
alien intervention.
But
Well,
I've had a lot of people try to refute that. But
I mean, I would
actually
believe something like that easier than I could believe in a God.
Well, I mean, and I got no issue with the concept of God, but I mean, even alien intervention doesn't explain what we're observing. I mean, human chromosome number 2. I've had people tell me, well, what happened? 2 apes got together and formed a human? I'm like, no. They don't even understand what the evidence is,
how
and
it
they're
works.
trying to refute it. I'm like, have you read the paper? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, then why are you going to refute the evidence if you have not even read the paper? That to me is just amazing.
Well, that's what I said. So that's how they're hurting themselves. I think a lot is by they got to know this stuff. They've been through these arguments before, and they keep using the same argument over and over again. And it's like nobody bothers to even look this stuff up. I mean, have you looked into this stuff? I mean, it just baffles me. I don't understand it.
I don't either. You think that they would, if they wanted to really refute it, they would actually read the actual paper. I've read it a couple times. I don't fully understand it. I'm not going to claim that I do. It's technical. But I mean, I would say a vast majority. I mean, it's well over 50, 60, 70% maybe. But the concept behind it is not hard, and that's what they don't even do.
Yeah. That's what I said. If you actually understand what the information is saying, that and what's the other one with viral scarring on the DNA? That's another one that. Yeah, that just what other conclusion can you come to? That's.
Well, again, they misrepresent a lot. When you listen to Nephi talk about these things,
Oh yeah.
I mean, he just bastardizes the actual science to no end. And so when people start saying, well, they agree with Nephi or Tommy or any of these guys, they're agreeing with a straw man. And when Wayne noticed that weeks ago, after he looked into stuff, he's like, they have a straw man version of these topics, and that's what we've been telling them. They're like, you're not refuting actual scientific theory. What you're refuting is some incorrect notion you have of it, and that's like tilting at windmills. You're like Don Quixote at this point.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to understand that. I mean, Tommy Hall with this whole, you guys believe
there's no new information. No new information.
Yeah, that's a lovely one they always say. Because I'm like, okay, if you want to talk about information, let's do that. But it's not going to be exactly what you think.
I can't believe I had that discussion with him on that, and he actually thought he literally bought into the analogy of coding and computer chips and all that kind of stuff. And I said, yeah, I like to see you throw ones and zeros at a fucking piece of DNA. Go ahead.
Well, I've asked that again. I'm like, show me a model for this. And it's funny. Isaiah, yesterday, he said, I want your opinion on something. And I'm like, okay, well, who the hell wants my opinion on anything? I don't. But I was like, okay. And he wrote me this, or he sent me this something talking about DNA methylation, how cytosine gets methylated. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's spot on. I go, actually, that's like almost exactly what I wrote. Something a while back. He's like, yeah, no, I got it from you. I just changed a few things. So I'm like, oh. I was like wondering why it sounded awfully familiar.
I got it from you and I fixed it.
I was like, well, you could have let me know that you kind of took my stuff and just send to Hovind because they wanted something to send to Hovind. But I was like, no, I don't care. I mean, yeah, steal my shit. I don't care. If I write something, it's obviously public domain. But
they gotta copyright that shit, man.
But well, no. I mean, my thing is I don't know this shit very well. I'm just able to explain shit. That's my whole thing. I think I do very well. When I really want to, I can explain something pretty decently. But I had asked people, okay, if you want to compare it to some kind of computer program, then yeah, okay. Then forget about just the 4 base, nitrogenous bases. How are you going to write code for, the DNA methylation? How are you going to write it for the histone acetylation, the deacetylation, the phosphorylation? How are you going to write code for even the histones themselves of how tightly the chromatin is wrapped around it? Because that affects transcription, so therefore it affects gene expression. And yet, to this day, you know how many people have actually tried? None.
Yeah.
Not a single one. Because you're not dealing with just four base pairs as they think. They think, oh, it's just, you have these binary base pairs that are, have to go together A, T, G, C. Well, no, they don't. You can have isomers that change things, called telomeres. But, yeah, they don't take into all the other shit that needs to be taken into account to describe what we observe.
Yeah.
And that's why when you tell them it's just an analogy, well, Bill Gates calls it a code. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if Richard Dawkins calls it a code. It's an analogy.
Yeah. And Tomahawk went down that path out of one little thing I said about you're taking the analogy too seriously. But I also gave an example of where you have a new gene with a new function. And he totally just skimmed over that and went straight to this whole coding thing. And I haven't heard back from him ever since. He might have me blocked or something, but I'm thinking, dude, come on, what the fuck? I also said this and you just glossed right over it, meeting your demands or provide me one fucking paper. I'm like, well, there you go. I think I gave him two. Yeah, I gave him two. And yeah, and then he went straight to fucking information and shit, and I fucking laughed so hard.
Well, Fiona had a little encounter with him about orphan, and then we've also brought obviously the nylase and the bacteria that can metabolize nylon. They don't consider this to be new information. They call it recombinant information, and some of it is recombinant. I'm not going to say that, recombinant DNA, but to the genome, it's new. It's new information to that species. I mean, where do they think information comes from to begin with? They just like, well, how do you explain information? Well, it came about, when the universe came about, things started developing and things became what they are. And they have this really rich understanding of information. Information can be looked at different ways, but basically, you can look at information in terms of entropy. The entropy is what is required to describe the state of a system informationally. It's actually proportional to the square of the area of the perimeter of the informational system. And this is not this weird shit. This is actually how it works. And they take it and they just think, oh, it's some kind of mystical theological thing they call information. But when you ask them to describe what do you mean by information, if what you said and what I said is different to the genome, is not new information. If a new protein is being encoded, how is that not new information? Because they just take it back and say, oh, well, there's no new information from the beginning of the universe. Well, you know what? We're not recreating the universe. We only have the alphabet A through Z to make words. We're not creating new letters to make new words. That's not how this shit works, right?
Sorry, yeah, you cut up for a bit there, but yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, and recently with this whole Tommy Hall thing, I've given up hope.
And I've said it before. I know people give me shit for it. I like Tommy. I'm not gonna say I don't. I like Tommy Hall.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I think he does some disgusting things, like what he did the other day about atheists and pedophiles.
What's this?
Tommy.
What about atheists?
Oh, he cited some bullshit paper that there's a higher percentage of pedophiles among atheists, and he calls them atheist pedophiles. Yet actually it's higher among religious people and more abusive as well when they are cases. But I mean it doesn't matter. It was a pejorative rather than discussing the issues, and that was beneath Tommy. But Tommy at least likes biology to the point because he wants to learn a little about it. But he's not
too fucking lazy.
He's lazy. Yeah, bingo. He won't actually look at the actual real stuff. He'll look at the non-real stuff. But I think he has a hell of a lot more potential than the clown car posse like Nephilim and G-Man and Arcane and those guys. I think he could actually learn it correctly if he wanted to. He's not a complete idiot. I mean, I think he's a moron for not reading the stuff properly, but he's not he's not incompetent enough that he could never learn it. These other guys could never learn it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Arcane Locust could never learn shit.
Oh no, definitely not.
another problem is that even if they do, outright prove evolution is wrong, that still doesn't do anything to, help their side. It still doesn't prove. They still haven't come up with an actual theory or any kind of coherent theory or hypothesis of how this stuff all got here.
And that's a brilliant observation. Disproving claim Y does not give evidence for claim X.
Yeah.
And I actually said the same thing to Zafati a while back when we were going over some of his 101 evidence for a young Earth, right? And none of it really is evidence for a young Earth. I think maybe a couple claims do, but most of it is negative evidence toward a old Earth. Big difference. It's deceptive because even if it was evidence toward an old Earth, which is not, I mean, it's actually all bullshit. But let's say it is evidence that the Earth is not old. It doesn't really get him to where he wants to go that the Earth is 7,000 years, because even some of the data he had would only get him to about 30,000. And I'm sorry, but 30,000 and 7,000 are not the same thing.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That thing that you just said, Steve, is something that Wayne needs to listen to as well. Just because you disprove claim Y doesn't prove claim X. So, like, I've got no issue with, I mean, you've been talking about you were skeptical about common ancestry. Well, even if we demonstrated beyond a shadow of a doubt to you that common ancestry was a fact, it wouldn't mean that you had to stop believing in God. It would just mean that you'd have a better understanding of evolutionary theory, and that's not a bad thing at all. So it's not again, you can have theistic, you can have an incredibly intelligent, scientifically minded theistic evolutionist, and whilst I think they're wrong, they could probably flatten me in an argument with the science, because I ain't got a fucking clue what I'm talking about when it comes to science. But I think exactly, Alex. Look at Fiona.
Well, I would start somewhere easy, and I think I'm starting to do this for folks who are actually paying attention to these talks, because I know Tommy's not going to actually go and learn anything. I talk to him because it's funny and it helps me recollect. I call these guys fodder. They're fodder to help me remember my coursework. As I'm sitting here, listening to you all, I'm actually working on calculus, and I'm looking over, parts of the microscope. We just looked at our own, skin cells today. So, but for guys like Wayne, I would challenge Wayne. If you are interested in actually trying to challenge, the modern incarnation of the neo modern synthesis, and you have an issue with common descent, I would watch the movie Contagion. Watch it, and also look. I think there's some reviews that scientists actually did to describe, how they came up with the plot, because it has several accolades to its name because of how accurate it is. It's scarily accurate, like really, really accurate. And so, if the claim that your creator, deity, whoever it may be, somehow created us with similar parts, you would then have to ask if this being had forethought and it was purposeful for some benevolent purpose, then it would have to be contrasted against what happens in the movie Contagion, because it's a prime example of how common descent has spited us as mammalians.
Is Wayne there?
I'm actually typing in the name of the movie on Google, so when I get done eating and stuff, I'll take a look at it.
I just want to point out such hypocrisy. We all know true empiricism has it, but when he was calling out Fiona for deleting that video, that's done and dusted. But I've just seen that he's deleted a video a few hours ago, but in either case, I actually took a screenshot of it, of the title, and as it's uploaded on his YouTube, and so you can also see my comment. I made a few other comments, but at the time that's what I got. And so he's actually deleted this video, or he's taken it, made it private, but he's most likely deleted it. I wonder why, and does he expect to see like an uproar of, oh, you deleted a fucking video, as to what he did with Fiona and so forth. And so I just find the irony ever so sweet. And the opposite.
He had a really bad scratchy mic the other day on a video. Was it that one?
No, it wasn't that one. Well, at least I didn't notice it was bad at all. It's called No Creation, No Sense.
Well, I mean, True is a one-hit wonder. I mean, and I mean that it's basically he has the same things over and over and over again, and then once he's been refuted, he has nothing else to draw upon. I mean, his entire argument is literally ATP mayonnaise. I mean, it's all it is. I mean, he has nothing else, and I don't understand why people are giving him so much attention. I mean, when Negation of P debated with them, I swear to God, I didn't know what the hell I was listening to. I'm like, Negation of P was putting forth one thing, giving him every capitulation and saying, okay, I'm giving you this, I'm giving you this. And as I said, what does he got to do? Put the final linchpin in. And True Empiricism was trying to talk about something completely different. He was back on the ATP mayonnaise again. And I'm like, what the hell does this got to do with the argument that Negation of P was putting forth? That you can have a creator that not necessarily have a deity or a god. And I don't think True Empiricism's even addressed that throughout the entire debate. Did he? Because if he did, I didn't hear it.
And in that comment section on that video that he's deleted, I also not put him through, but I gave him a contact page for a lady researcher at MRC, Medical Research Council in the UK, for ATP synthase. He's the lead researcher of his team, John Walker, and underneath his profile photo you can see like his phone number and an email address. And I said, if you really want to learn, there's this guy that's his niche. It is ATP synthase and so forth, how it works and all that jazz. I said, contact this bloke, actually send him an email, and obviously properly formulate it, don't come off as a fucking dick, and respectful and so forth as you do, and actually get a response from someone whose field of research revolves around ATP synthase.
Dude, it's funny you mention that because I opened a book a while back. It was a molecular biology book, and it was pretty much basically on ATP synthase. And let me tell you, I could see somebody have to be a specialist just to understand the entire nuances of how the shit actually works.
Oh, shit,
I mean,
Let me guess. We're talking about Ron the Magic Man.
Yeah.
He's Magic Man.
I come back from Taco Bell, and this is what we get. It looks like the shit is starting early.
He thinks he has this great understanding of it, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute, Ron, you have no more understanding than any of us do, because we all have a basic understanding of how ATP synthase works. I mean, especially by now, people that don't even like biology, at least they know what the hell it is because people talk about it. Some of us a little bit more because we like to do research on it. But when you actually look at the actual molecular biology of this shit, yeah, you're talking PhD level shit, man. I mean, it is not easy. And for him to have this audacity to think he's autodidactic enough to understand this, hell no.
Did you see? Hang on. Did you see how he reacted when I said, "Hey, listen, I don't know anything about chemistry or biology or anything like that. That subject, that discipline, is not my forte." And he was like, "Well, if you had any understanding of it, like I do," I'm like, "You motherfucker!"
It's funny.
Yeah, then he goes up with a 5-minute diatribe. That was ATP mayonnaise.
Yeah, I actually took that conversation, that very one that you're talking about, and then in my new video, Ron the Magic Man Part 2, I screenshot it and I pointed out what he got wrong in that. And if you look at the comments, people are also fucking laughing at him because of the gaffes that he made after he supposedly was teaching you something and all the shit that he fucked up, like calling covalent and ionic bonds sharing, and it's not.
Yeah.
He mentions fucking electronegativity and it has nothing to do with what you're talking about, because the electronegativity defines whether the molecule is polar or not. And
it's like that he's telling Reds, well, if you had, and then he gets it fucking completely wrong.
Like he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. Like,
why would bring that? Okay, Reds wants to talk about certain subjects, right? And why would Ronnie go down a path that had nothing to do with their conversation to begin with, anyways?
Get this. Here's what happened. I was kind of lost in the moment, so forgive me if I didn't do this, which I probably should have, but he contacted me and said he wanted to talk about ID. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever, we'll go in there. And then as soon as he starts to hang out, he's like, so, what do you want to talk about? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You contacted me. So I just pulled something at thin air because I know that he's not a flat earther. He made a video against them, apparently. And I know he doesn't really give a shit about the astronomy side of things. And he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about there. So I went to the only thing that I know that he would talk about when it comes to how what's going on inside the cell isn't, quote, just chemistry, that there's something more there, and what is the more. And he just jargon bombed the shit out of me as soon as I went down that road because when he realized that, oh, Red doesn't actually do biology, he doesn't actually understand the mechanics and the physics that go on in chemistry and in cells, I can jargon bomb the shit out of him, confuse the fuck out of him to the point where he's not going to be able to make a comeback, and I can make him look foolish and whatever. But notice what happened when we got past all the jargon bombing. Notice what happened when we finally got to the root of his argument. So his argument was boiled down to this, and I do fucking quote, that because it looks designed, therefore it is. Okay, maybe not an exact quote, but paraphrasing. So because humans have made motors, and because something inside the cell looks similar to a motor, therefore a human, which has a mind, made the motor, therefore a mind must have made this motor. Such flawed fucking logic.
Mm-hmm. And he repeated that in his video later.
Yeah, he's repeating it, and he went back on it again, and now he's adding another layer of bullshit to it. So the second layer to that, besides this motor-looking design, therefore it is that he's also adding a layer of, okay, chemicals are actually doing the process, however, how the chemicals arrange themselves in the first place in order to do that process to begin with, that's the, quote, more of it. That's not what you said. You said what's going on inside the cell right now is not just chemistry. You said nothing about how it came about was not just chemistry. That's totally different. So this motherfucker was caught and was trying to rephrase his argument midway through the fucking hangout. It's a classic case of, oh, I fucked up. Now I need to make sure that I can spoon it and twist it in such a way to make it look like that's not what I was saying to begin with.
Well, he has sloppy fucking language to begin with. Like he mentions, well, this thing is doing this, and this is not really. It's not just chemistry. What he was trying to say is that when you have certain molecules, let me be even more specific. He was referring mostly to what's known as protein motors, like kinesin and I think myosin. And so those are groups of proteins with a special function. And so when he's talking about the more that he was trying to elaborate on, he doesn't have a comprehensive understanding of what the different types of proteins that are out there, because you have receptor proteins, you have fucking structural proteins, you got fucking what about trying to think of the other one, but yeah, like I already said, motor proteins. Yep. Yeah, there's like I want to say 8 different classes of proteins. So he could have just stopped and said, you know what, there are certain classes of proteins that I think are a little bit beyond chemistry since they have specific functions that differ greatly than their cousins. I said, you know what, that would have helped elucidate his point so much better. And I
but he didn't think that far ahead, of course, because he couldn't.
Like, if he would have said that, I could have went to my notes and I could have helped him actually form his argument, because I see what he's saying now. But he doesn't. Yeah, but Drag, would he accept the correction though?
Probably not.
Fuck no. No, he doesn't realize that literally the things that he's talking about we're going over in class. Like literally everything he's saying, I'm being taught by someone with a fucking PhD, or actually 2 master's degrees and a PhD in this shit. So it's funny that he thinks he knows something but he doesn't.
Yep, and we have that at the school that I'm going to. In fact, I actually bumped into him because I was at the school right now signing some paperwork, and I got my student number and I'm ready to go in. So ready to go. But I was sitting down and I realized that this guy was doing class, and I fucking broke the ice. I think I bugged him a bit. But I was like, hey, excuse me, sir, are you a teacher here? I don't know where I'm going. Can you point me to such and such room? I knew exactly where I was going. I was just trying to shoot the shit. But he's like, yeah, you go down this road, that hallway, go to this door, and there you are. Okay, cool. By the way, what do you teach? And he goes, biology. And I go, oh, you and me are going to be good friends. So, yeah, so I started asking him, you know, hey, if I have any questions about this, can I talk to you about it? You know, just out of curiosity. He goes, oh, sure, yeah, I'm always available after class. You could just come on in and we'll see what you got. The teachers there are actually very awesome. I'm really impressed on how nice everyone is. But the next time Ronnie says something that I'm not familiar with, I'm going to bring it to this guy, and I'm going to ask him to explain it to me, and then I'll return to the Hangout or return to the forum in which the conversation is taking place, somewhere on the G+. I know it's going to be there, and I will be as detailed as I can to tell Ronnie exactly how he fucked it up. Because it's almost a guarantee that he's going to fuck that shit up royally, just like he fucked that shit up royally when I was having my conversation with him. Oh, if you studied this like I do, man, fuck you. You don't know any more than I do.
You know, isn't it great that you have a wide database of people you can go to? I mean, even on my Facebook, I've kind of got like 10 PhD people that I can get information from anytime. I mean, they're basically like, you know, people I've known for a very long time. Some of them I even went to school with. You know, if I don't know something, boom, I could ask them just like that.
There's 3 people I go to. Yeah, there's 3 people I go to on the G+. I go to Dragnot, I go to Sam, and I go to Fiona. And these are the 3 people I go to. Basically, when you look at Ron the Magic Man, he goes to Answers in Genesis, the Discovery Institute, and G-Man.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? The difference in the quality.
It's amazing for us. It's piss poor for him because he's just a fucking idiot, and he's making himself more of a fucking idiot by stating, you know, oh, Discovery Institute this. I go, you don't understand. Discovery Institute is the toilet paper when it comes to academics. Okay, it's not worth even mentioning. It's worth being thrown in the toilet and flushed.
Just remember, if it's about Young Earth Creationism, you need to come to me. That's the only thing I ask.
His arguments don't even make sense to himself. J.D. Kane wrote down one of his arguments in a discussion they had, and then J.D. Kane repeated it back to true empiricism, and then true empiricism disagreed with it. He disagreed with what he said just before, and it's just like, are you fucking retarded, man? Like,
nice.
You know, I think it was telling that if you remember the debate that they had the other day with negation of P, it was really telling how fixated True was on the word atheism, because I think he has the same problem with words like motor and turbine.
No shit.
Yeah, I mean, he's really equivocating that these words are a lot more than what there's actually going on, because anybody who knows anything about anything knows what a motor is and knows what a turbine is. We know that these are man-made things because they're mechanical. I mean, a motor requires windings and stators and you know, these things that go roundy and brushes. I mean, there's induction going on there. There's a lot of things that are designed to make this motor work, to make it convert it into rotational energy.
I'm gonna send Ron the Magic Man a link. Crash Course just uploaded a video called "How to Argue," and it goes over many fallacies. And I think he will understand what fallacy he's making when he says that, oh, because a motor, we know of motors that were made by minds, therefore a mind made this one. I think he'll be able to name the fallacy he just committed by saying that after he watches that video, and realize that when I called him out on it, that was a justified call out. I wasn't talking on my ass by saying you cannot jump to that conclusion.
Well, they don't want to admit that, like things like design by, you know, a fallacy by design, or God of the gaps, or argument for me. They don't want ignorance. They don't want to say any of these are actual fallacies in their particular case. They are special pleading. They are basically saying, well, these would normally be fallacies, but in my case, it's not because, and yet every time they have a because, they have no argument for it. It is a special pleading. I hear that from Brandon, too. Well, it's not God of the gaps or argument from the design because, I'm like, well, yeah, what you just said is exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's a God of the gaps argument. I've been saying that for like over a year now. That his argument is a classic God of the gaps, a God of the gaps argument. When he's basically saying, we don't know how all this could have happened. I know of only one quote mechanism that can bring about these structures, which is a mind. So I don't know. Therefore, what I think it is. I
Well,
don't know,
again,
therefore God. It's the classic. It fits the definition so perfectly. It's a cookie cutter, straight to the fucking point definition of a God of the gaps argument.
absolutely, and they don't have special pleading that they want to make an exception. But I think you would have a better argument is if we looked at the ATP synthase, and we looked at it and we found wires and we found motor, actually a motor, like literally with the stator and these the brushes and
We
the
thought if we found if we found a little microscopic sign that said "Made in China,"
yeah,
that's something. For
but it's not.
fuck's
It's a
sake.
protein. It's basically it's a gradient because of an ionized hydrogen atom. That's all it is causing it to have a rotational thing on the F naught. That's the only reason it's called a motor is because it has a rotational thing that generates it to the F1 part of the ATP synthase. So I mean, he's fixated on that word motor, and it's really annoying because if you just had changed that word, I don't think he would have an argument.
No, I don't think he does. Well, basically, the reason he's saying motor is because he's going to try and bring it back to, like, for example, Tesla, or the Chevy Bolt, or fucking the electric go-kart that he has as local YMCA or whatever the fuck. I mean, that's that's why he likes it. He likes because when any normal person uses the word motor, they're thinking of something mechanical that a human had a hand in creating, and that's why he's so obsessed with the word motor. And the reason why is because he's intellectually dishonest and wants to try and attribute it to his God of the gaps argument.
Yeah, by the way, yeah, I should also say, yeah, obviously a car engine motor as well. I mean, you're a car guy. I'm like electronics. So I mean, both of them are called.
Here's the thing. Tesla has a motor. A gas-powered car has an engine. There is a difference.
Hey, guys, Wayne wants to know what you guys know about the electric universe theory.
I promised Scorpio that I would look into it more. I looked into it about 10, 20 years ago. I mean, it's been a long time. I know it was based upon a lot of works by Immanuel Velikovsky, and he based it on Zacharias Sitchin. It basically is a universe that's based upon plasma and anode discharges rather than gravity. It is highly flawed. The problems they run into is that they basically say that gravity doesn't exist for the most part, and that the sun doesn't undergo fusion. There's no fusion in the sun. It's all plasma energy created from electric forces. And the problem with that is that we can actually detect photons from the sun and look at their energy level and say, hey, the energy level of this photon had to come from a proton-proton reaction, which is part of the proton cycle to create helium and fusion. There's no explanation for that in the electric universe.
Not only that, we've actually replicated the conditions at the very center of the sun where fusion actually occurs. Yeah. There's a machine in the UK called the Tesseract, and the Tesseract actually makes stars, and they actually keep the fusion going for, I think it's like, what is it, like 2 seconds or 3 seconds or something like that. And they have a detector inside and also a camera, and this camera is super high speed, slow-mo, and everything, and they actually played a clip of the Tesseract being activated and showing the fusion process in a documentary of how the universe works. It's narrated by Mike Rowe. Awesome stuff from Discovery. But in that clip, it shows the fusion actually occurring, and it shows what is essentially sunlight coming out of the machine. And the pulse of energy that it creates is so massive that it mimics exactly what we're seeing in the sun. But not only that, we also have a loss in the mass that we originally put into the fucking machine. So a loss of mass, something that also confirms the fusion theory. Because when you have a big ball of hydrogen in a state of fusion, or gas I should say, in a state of fusion, they're going to fuse into heavier elements. But that fusion, in the process of that fusion, you lose mass. And what we see coming out of the machine is exactly that, a loss of mass.
It's called a mass defect, in fact. Yep. And the EU can't explain for any of that stuff. It's a defunct model. It never was viable to begin with, but there are a few out there that still want to hold on to it. It's like the ether shit, the ether crowd.
Is there anything in the electric universe that can explain the formation of heavier elements while simultaneously losing mass to the volume as a whole? Is there anything in the electric universe model that explains that?
Not as far as I know. I mean, there's something called...
Then it's bullshit.
Yeah, there's something called the Mate-West curve. For anybody who's old like I am, we used to call it the Mate-West curve. It's now known as the fission yield curve. I guess they had to be politically correct because Mae-West had big boobs. But if you look at this curve, I mean, exactly what you say, Reds, there is a mass defect in both fission and fusion, why we get energy out of it, why it actually works. And I
Red,
don't
did you
know
say the
how
Tesseract?
you would explain that. No.
Did you say the Tesseract, or do you mean the tokamak?
Tokamak, Tesseract. I think it's called the Tesseract.
There's the Tesseract. There's the tokamak. The tokamak is a fusion reactor.
Yeah, don't they have one that's coming online recently or something, or came online recently?
Plasma pulse, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they're now also making another machine that's supposed to mimic the. I think they already have it, although I don't know what the name of it is. I believe it's located in Germany, and it simulates the magnetic loops that you see on the surface of the sun.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one, but that would be pretty interesting.
They can make one loop at a time, and it disappears almost instantly. But with these super slow motion cameras, they're able to make one loop and then another loop and then another loop in series. And then for each progression of the loop, they take an image and then they can play it back in slow motion to see how the loop evolves. And it's exactly what we're seeing on the sun, only a lot smaller.
Does anyone know how close to unity they are on these fusion reactors?
Well, I mean, they would obviously be less than unity.
Yeah, but I know that's their goal basically, is to be over unity.
Oh no. No scientist is ever going to have a goal to be over unity. We realize.
No. I mean, getting basically, they're still. They're feeding it hydrogen and producing helium. But there is a point where it's going to be self-sustaining, and I think that's their ultimate goal, is to have that self-sustaining and use it as an energy source.
You cannot self-sustain a star of that size.
Yeah, the problem you run it. There's two reasons why you can't. The main reason, obviously, is the fact that you're dealing with such high temperatures. You cannot. We at least now we cannot develop a system of magnetic fields to control the plasma as well. We're working on it. There's supposed to be one they're working on called the I think it's ITER, ITER, something like that.
Not exactly sure, but I do know that whatever machine that they make, you're going to have to put more into the machine to sustain the star than what the energy is going to get out of it.
Hey, somebody give me more information, because with Tesseract UK experiment I can't find it.
No, if we had a fusion reactor, you would get more energy out of it, but you're not over unity though. That's a difference.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's what I meant. I mean, if you can feed it enough hydrogen, and then your waste product is helium basically.
Here's
it's not the same as over unity. Over unity would be like a
perpetual motion. Yeah, I realize that.
Yeah, essentially the amount of energy that it's creating is a explosive force, and you have to contain that energy with what else? More energy, and that's where you start see what they do is that they have to. I believe they have these gigantic fucking generators, and they have to charge the system. Because as soon as you have the charging, either the hairs are standing up on the back of your neck because of goosebumps, or something big's about to happen. You can feel it in the air. It's like, don't go near this machine. Shit is about to get real. So there's a lot of energy being fed into that machine to make something fuse for about 2 seconds.
I don't
Just
think
squeeze that together enough and hold it away from the walls. Yeah.
Yeah, because in real stars, what you have is you have the
Compact it with
fusion
gravity.
energy trying to blow the star up, but you also have gravity trying to crush the star down, and what you have is a balancing act between these two forces.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can't sustain that balancing act on Earth.
I'm not suggesting we're going to create a star on the planet.
Not
like
yet.
that, no. No, that's not going to happen.
When I create a balancing act on that shit, that's the definition of pseudoscience right there.
But as far as creating a fusion reaction that's unstable, that it produces energy, we can do that one day. That's no question.
Yeah, yeah, we'll be able to do that. I'm just saying, make a star. Yeah, good luck. Yeah, that's my thing. I would love to have a pet star. I mean, I could totally get in on that.
I remember reading something a long time ago. If you had like a golf ball size thing of the sun on like the planet Earth, and you're in California, it would basically kill you all the way as far as Arizona.
Yep.
I mean, it's pretty powerful.
I also heard that with the sun, it's like an astronomical number of atomic bombs all going off at the exact same time every single second. Like, what's the number? Like a few 100,000 atomic bombs going off every single second, something like that. I mean, the energy it's making is just fucking massive.
Yeah.
Go solar power.
Oh, did you hear how many solar masses it took to create the gravity waves that LIGO detected?
Yeah, it was a three solar masses equivalency lost. The black holes were around, I think the total thing was 65, and they lost 3, bringing it down to 62.
Yeah.
Was that right? Yeah. So 3 solar masses of gravity waves is freaking gantuan.
Yeah, just gone into nothingness, basically.
Well, that's why the entire universe felt it. The entire freaking universe. I mean, gravity is infinite force, anyways. I mean,
and they also proved that gravity waves do propagate at the speed of light. Also, I hear.
Yeah.
Because they hit the 2 different detectors at different times, and they calculated that gravity does travel at the speed of light or propagates at the speed of light.
Yep. It's like, yep. It looks like we discovered some shit. All right, now it's time to see who gets that Nobel.
Yeah.
And somebody will. I mean, obviously. They're building more of them so they get more directionality.
Yeah, and they're going to put some in space, I guess.
That'd be cool.
I would love to see that happen.
But there was something today. Guy, his name was I Have Seen to Believe or something, and of course, he was one of those dumb fucks that didn't realize who he was talking to. That actually kind of knew a little bit about something, and he basically was saying, well, what was the error? What was the tolerance? And I'm like, well, no, it's not tolerance. It's an error propagation. It's a variance in the measurement, but tolerance is specifically used for like tooling. And he's like, well, so what was it? Plus or minus 1.8 billion light years away? I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean plus or minus 1.8 billion light years away? I mean that means that basically is 1.8 billion light years in one direction and 1.8 billion miles in the other direction it could be. I'm like, no, it was 1.8 billion miles away. We know the direction it was from, the Large Magellanic Cloud, and I think the variance was something a couple of 100 million light years, or something along those lines. But I didn't know the exact value. But I'm like, no, you're not going to have. It could be 1.8 billion light years away, plus or minus. It's stupid, because he's trying to rationalize the way, because he didn't understand that it just literally kills Young Earth Creationism.
Oh boy. So yeah, needless to say, I haven't actually heard anything from the flat earther crowd. So what I'm saying is, needless to say that because I haven't heard anything about the flat earther crowd, they're still trying to figure out exactly how they're going to twist and misrepresent this discovery to fit their flat earth horseshit.
Yeah, because that gravity doesn't exist. Well, what the hell do we detect then?
Yeah, exactly. So
why was it just as we predicted it would be?
Yeah, they're basically saying that gravity. Oh, it's not gravity that holds you to the surface. It's density. Okay, where did the density gradients come from, dipshit? Oh yeah, no answer there. So now they have to think.
Is that what I told you before?
Yeah, density.
Oh fuck.
Okay, all right. Here's the thing. You are denser than the air around you, so you sink to the bottom. That's why you're planted on the.
Oh, they're pretty dense. I'll give them that.
Oh, yeah. I heard a good one. I don't remember where I read it on some some chat group or something. They were talking about what gravity was, and they were talking about that the Earth is expanding, or the whole universe is expanding basically, and the gravity we feel is the expansion.
Oh, I've heard
1G.
like that, and the great expanding Earth theory that explains
Yeah.
continental drift. Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm like, holy shit.
You
Yeah,
can't make this
about
shit up,
that.
dude.
Yeah, and I asked one of these fuckheads point blank actually. Okay, so you're telling me that the fact that we're denser than the air around us is the reason why we sink and why helium balloons float. Okay, here's the thing. So the air around us is the directional force that causes us to go down to the floor, correct? He goes, yeah, that's correct. All right, question. Why do things fall in a vacuum then? Because if you have the atmosphere providing your direction of which way you're going to fall, and you get rid of the medium that is causing that force, why do objects still fall then? And you want to know what I was told? That the videos of pennies and feathers or bowling balls and feathers falling in a excuse me. Ah, damn it. Okay, falling in a vacuum at the same speed, they're fake. The motherfucker is literally saying that vacuum chambers are fake. Okay.
Well, I remember some flat earthers. They've told me that space isn't real, gravity isn't real, time is an illusion. Which yeah.
Unbelievable.
But their best evidence for everything is it's not real, it's not real, it's not real. And so, when I was asking this flat earther, why do you think, the Earth is flat? And they're like, well, because all these other things, they can't be real. And I'm like, why can't they be real? Well, they just can't.
But you gotta love their creativeness, though. They have a great creativeness with the things that come up with the models and the ideas that are going.
Yeah, I'd still like them to explain satellites.
No, if
Well,
you
they
would
already
do
did.
this, if you would do this in elementary school and you don't know the exact measurements of the Earth and shit, and I would go like, damn, I would be impressed, But if you do that as an adult age, you go like, wait, did you skip a couple of years?
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is that I asked them exactly, how do things fall in a vacuum? They said vacuums don't exist. At that point, I was like, you can make a vacuum chamber yourself and test this shit out.
I mean, we all see it demonstrated in high school science. You put your alarm clock in a bell jar, knock the air out. You don't hear the sound anymore.
Yeah, I didn't get that because my school was a piece of shit, but I at least understood the fucking process, and other people have seen it themselves and said, yeah, no air, no sound, no, because alarm clock. And also, I saw a science project that a little girl made, and it was two tubes with rubber ends, and these tubes were clear. They were about 6 feet long, and it had a marble, and right next to the marble was a feather. And she would flip the tube upside down, the one that had the air, they were labeled, and you would see the feather go down very slowly, and the marble went right to the bottom. Then she flipped the tube that had no air in it, and they both fell at the same rate. Well, what do you fucking know? So the question remains, if it is the case that the atmosphere is providing the force needed to push your sorry ass into the ground, why do things still fall in a vacuum? Why, if there's no directional force, why is there a direction?
Dang, that shows the theory.
Magic.
It's it's very similar. Just the other day, and by the way, again, everybody, I'm gonna have to mute everybody that's just not talking, just because nobody can hear me. But Anne, what's her name? God dang, what the hell's her name? Anne McDonald, is that her name? Reds.
Okay, who is it? Who's it?
the other flat earther nut job, and something or other, the nurse.
I mean, are
Michael
we talking?
and
Michael Ann, thank you.
Michael Ann.
Oh, Michael Ann, yeah.
She's just not that
I
important for
gave
me to remember her name.
the vitamin
Yeah,
C.
Michael Ann, she attacked me on something for some reason. It's about turbines and explaining why rockets don't work in space. And I'm like, Michael Ann, you're literally too stupid for me to even have a conversation with. And I was like, if you really want to have this conversation, we'll get with Reds, and I will draw you what's called a free body diagram, and I'll explain to you something called momentum and impulse engines, how they work, and basically, what Newton's laws of motion are, and how things have, if you have a force on something, how to move. I could do free body diagrams. She's not going to be able to understand this, but according to her, rockets don't work in space. Well, okay, look at the physics and tell me why they don't work in space. I don't know why she tagged me on it. I'm like, fuck, I don't give a fuck. She's too stupid.
Are we talking about Rose Patton?
No. Michael Ann, I remember now. She was the bitch that actually blocked me. So that's the reason I was confused over the name, because I started talking to her like maybe months ago, and she blocked me when I corrected her on something. So that shows how much she really cares for the truth. I was replying to a post that she made against someone else about flat Earth. She was saying something along the lines of gravity is a lie. So again, it was going back to the gravity issue. And then I was explaining how she's wrong and this is why. And I guess I was a little rude by saying that she should get her head out of her ass. And she responded by blocking me.
Yeah, she's scientifically illiterate, man. But
Go
it's funny.
figure.
I get something posted on my event page, and I like Peripheral Prophet. He's one of the young earthers that I think is next to fall. Well, it'd be him. I don't know. It's toss up. But anyways, he had posted what I quoted, and I said something. I said, if they are so entrenched in their belief system and nothing's going to change them, then how can you say they have any kind of honesty whatsoever, or they are being intellectually honest? And Peripheral writes back, right back at you, bro. And I know he's listening. I'm like, Peripheral, I've said it many times. If somebody could demonstrate to me using evidence, data, show me the facts, I will change the position on anything. You cannot hold a position where the evidence is against you. Now, granted, my positions are pretty well formulated, and it takes a required large amount of evidence to do so. I'm talking extraordinarily large evidence, to the point where I don't think it could possibly be possible. However, I believe that if given enough evidence, you have to change your position, or you're not being intellectually honest. So I challenge you, show me the evidence that I'm wrong on either evolutionary biology, common descent, or that I'm wrong on Young Earth Creationism. I'm challenging you now. I will look at your evidence. Is that fair?
If you can pass on a message to her from me, tell her this, that if she agrees to come into a hangout with us to talk about flat Earth, I promise I will not insult her. I will not even cuss at her. I'll turn the cussing off. It'll be difficult, but I can do it. And we'll discuss this in a calm, rational way about flat Earth and why it's bullshit. Or she can come in and try to describe why the round Earth is bullshit. So tell her to come in.
How about we just explain to her why rockets work in space?
Oh, so basically every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and she's not understanding this.
I would like Drag there, because Drag does really good drawings, Draw a box here, draw a little line, draw an arrow.
Okay, how about this? I will go to the Fisher-Price website and purchase a box of crayons just for her.
Now, you said you were not going to be insulting. Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's after she gets her ass in the hangout. But before then, the gloves are always off. Before then, the gloves are off. So the thing is that I can get Houseoy to make a diagram, and I can explain the physics of it and explain why rockets do work in space. And what I'm going to do is just go over the facts that, listen, regardless if a rocket is in an atmosphere environment or in a vacuum environment, what you have is an expelling of matter. The matter is being shot out in one direction. That matter being shot out in one direction means that the rocket is going to go in the other direction. Imagine this. Let's say that rockets don't work in space. That if you fire matter out on the other side, that nothing's going to happen. Okay, then the question is, why does the matter that you shot out go in that direction? Because there's a force being applied, correct? Well, now let's turn it around. Let's say that the gas that's actually being shot out is actually the object that's doing the shooting. So let's reverse it. Let's say that we're trying to shoot out the rocket itself. What do we have to do? The exact same thing. We need to apply the force to separate them as quickly as possible. Basically, force the gas and the rocket body itself apart as quickly as possible, and that will cause the force to push it forward. And so no matter how you look at it, you can't get around it. Rockets work in space because of this little thing called the laws of physics. It is Newton's laws of motion in action. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And for people that want to disagree with that, I want to go ahead and make them wear a spacesuit. We'll take them to a vacuum chamber, empty all the air out, and I will kick them in the balls as hard as I possibly can, and we'll see them levitate. Oh, so every action has an equal and opposite reaction. You said the law doesn't work in a vacuum. Do your balls hurt? Yeah, they hurt, don't they?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even. You know, I know you can exceptionally explain it very, very well, but it's funny is I don't even understand their mindset where they can actually, in their head, think they have a valid position. I really cannot take myself down to visualize where they're coming from, because all you got to do is fucking visualize three lines, just three lines like a box, only open on one side, and you have an explosion. You have shit going out to the right, you have shit going up to the top, shit going out to the bottom, and shit going out to the left. So it's leaving the box to the right because it's open, but it's producing a force top down and to the left. So as you said, if it produces a force to the left on the bulkhead, the wall there, it's got to do something. The top and bottom are going to equal out because your net sum of the forces are going to be zero, but you've got forces going in that direction. So I don't even understand their argument. It's so bad to me.
Yeah,
where do they think rockets go?
What's that?
Where do they think rockets go? Like, you see it go up, so where do they think it goes?
Okay, so here's what happened on Sean's launch and Microblog's launch. Those two launches are videos that are on my channel. Basically, the same comment gets posted on both of those launches. They think that the reason why rockets launch straight up and then curve over is because they need the rockets go over the ocean, disappear out of our line of sight, and then fall in the ocean. That's literally what they're saying. They're saying, oh, look, another rocket crashed into the ocean because, quote, rockets aren't launching straight up like they should. Apparently these people don't know that a rocket needs to curve in order to get into orbit.
God fucking damn. Oh, what would be the point, just from a perspective of NASA or whatever the fuck, or even a company?
Oh, I don't know. Let's just build a giant rocket and launch 3 of them in the exact same week when one would be sufficient for a hoax for no fucking reason whatsoever. Goddamn ever.
Yeah, just into the ocean, just casually. Like, that logic. Fuck.
The thing is that with my camera, I was able to catch ignition, booster separation, second stage ignition, fairing separation, and I was able to catch it going into orbit. I mean, it's something that I've caught with my own cameras, and these motherfuckers still think, oh, you captured it going into the ocean. Motherfucker, it was going into space.
Wow. That's sick, but wow on their part.
A friend of mine was down in Florida this last week when they launched the Atlas for the GPS satellite.
Yep, that's
she said she's going to send me the pictures.
Oh, dude, I already have the video up, so you don't need her pictures. You just my fucking video. That's what you need.
No, that's all faked. I needed somebody down there to take pictures.
I am somebody down there that went there to take pictures. That's what these fuckheads don't understand. They seem to think that I'm getting this footage from NASA. Motherfucker, that $620 camera didn't buy itself, asshole. Ugh, man. It's like I got that camera to actually record. I mean, it has 83 times optical zoom. They're the ones that taught me that told me to fucking buy it. Okay, fine, flat earthers. I'll buy this camera so you can see what I see. And guess what? You see a rocket going up and going into space.
I've actually I haven't been able to like get any pictures of it because I don't have a drive for my my telescope. But I've actually seen the panels on the space station or on the ISS as it's gone over. I followed it. I hand followed it. That's a task right there.
Yeah, I can imagine. A buddy of mine called Astronomy Live has a telescope with an auto tracker, and he was auto tracking it. It was amazing. I saw the solar panels and saw that they were flipped forward, and so basically flipped in the direction that they were going.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so I've been told by Jeranism that this thing is a drone. If that is a drone, that is the most unaerodynamic aircraft to ever fly in the entire history of forever. Because
they got one for that too. They got one for that too.
That's not how you build a wing.
It's just a painting on the bottom of a plane.
Guys, I was gonna end this at 3:00 because I've got to get with Joe and a few other people for our interview thing with my guest at 5:30 at Dragnaut. I might keep it a little bit longer, only for the fact that we do have so many people watching right now, and I'm getting a lot of messages. People actually being entertained. So I don't know. Do you want to keep? I guess I can keep it open for another half hour, or do you want to call it quits now? Because again, my thing's gonna be at 5:30. I think it's gonna be on Drag's channel.
Steve, whatever suits you best, man. If you think you need time, if you think you need preparation, whatever suits you best. You don't need to keep the hangover for us, man.
Prep to go over some stuff with Joe and a few other people. I mean, we're going to be going on some probably technical shit.
Then do what you gotta do. It's all good. JD, talking shit Tuesday tonight, right?
Damn straight.
And you're going
actually, we're gonna have the outside chat working for once. So.
I thought you canceled Talking Shit Tuesday, JD.
No, I canceled the event that I fucked up because I was still trying to figure out how to get the live chat working. No, Talking Shit Tuesday is definitely going on.
Okay, I will be listening for that while I'm engaging with other people to go over my strats for tonight. The only reason I scheduled my thing tonight for 5:30 was literally because I wanted to listen to Talking Shit Tuesday, and I figured that you guys would be done by 5:30 because Fiona's going to join us, maybe Hog Tie, and a few other people. So I just want you to know that my based mind thing around your thing. So everybody's listening, make sure you're watching.
Appreciate it.
Tuesday night with JD Kane. It's always fun and entertaining.
Let me go ahead and just let me just selfishly plug something before we end here. I'm gonna be running an off-air hangout right after I leave this room. So if you guys want to come and be my guest, I'm going to be going over the script for my next video, and people can help me edit, change shit, what sounds right, what sounds a little bit bullshit, that kind of stuff. So if you guys want to come in, help out, be my guest. If not, well, you don't have to click the link. But it'll be up as soon as I leave here in about, I don't know, 30 seconds.
What's your next video
I'd love
on?
to help you with that, but obviously I can't. So, but anyway, thank you all for listening. Guys, thank you very much for joining me today. Wayne, once again, you are making tremendous strides. I'm so grateful that you are looking at the evidence, not just taking people's words for shit. And next one again is going to be Peripheral Prophet. I think he's going to be my next pet project. Cause, yeah. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna stop the broadcast now, and we can continue on later. And don't forget TST. What time is it, JD? 4?
JD just left. He just left. But it's in 1 hour, I believe.
Hold on 1 minute.
Yep. Our not live hangout will be concluded when Talking Shit Tuesday starts, so that way I'm not stepping on his toes. All right, peace out, guys. So look for the link on my channel. Peace.
Raw. Take care. Are we still live? Why is it just you and me, Drag? Why is it still live?
Hello? Yeah, it's not. It's not. Oh. Is he starting another one, or what is he doing? Hmm. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, right? Cool.